What's up, everybody? It's your favorite spelunker's favorite nerd, and today we are looking at the Fanstoys Cliffjumper. I just got this in from Nick the Toy Guy. I highly recommend him. His email is in the description. If you live on the East Coast, you would be very challenged to get a Fanstoys product quicker. He also does a lot of Hasbro stuff and other stuff, so he sells more than just Fanstoys, but I think when it comes to third party, he sort of stays in the Fanstoys pocket. That being said, we are going to take a look at this guy, and there will be a versus with him and the X-Transbots. It will not be this week. This week will be the recent third party reveals. That will be on Patreon, but then the following week probably will be a versus. And it may be this versus, it may be a different versus, but I think the following week will be a versus. Anyway, enough about my plans. Let's talk about this figure, but in order to do so, we need to talk about accessories. He comes with 3 additional heads, one kind of slightly surprised face, one sort of super happy face, and one super angry face. That, of course, is in addition to the more stoic face that came in the opening footage. In accordance with having that thing from that episode, he comes with 2 sets of skis, and they are painted silver with silver accents, and then the silver comes through where it pegs into the actual red piece, and it appears that the red is painted as well. And are they the exact same? They are. They're bagged separately, so I thought maybe they were different sizes, but it's just 4 of the exact same pieces, I believe. So the skis are supposed to just slide in between the wheel and kind of grab onto the spoke, and then you can do all 4. But I'm having different degrees of success, and it's chewing my tire up. So I would use them with caution. Unless you really need the ski look, I'd probably leave it alone. He comes with a pistol, or yeah, I guess it's a pistol technically, painted silver. It looks nice. A little screw in there, which is interesting to me, just to keep these pieces together. It seems like that's a little overkill, but it's fine. Otherwise, painted silver, nice sculpt. It goes into the back of the palm of his hand with that tab, and with no real problem, and closes down nicely. He also comes with his bazooka. You have the bipod here that swivels up and down. It's painted silver, very simple sculpt, and this handle collapses or extends. There's a lot of mold questions I have about this, but we'll get to that with the figure. But it is nice enough. And he'll hold that bazooka the same way that he holds his pistol, with the tab going into the back of the palm. You can also take this, flatten the handle, swivel this section to the side, and then stick that on top if you want like a super weapon. And with them connected, if you fold up the handle for the bazooka, you're supposed to be able to just shove it in there, which is fine. It works, you know, it stores it, so what do you want from me? It works all right. And let's take a look at the figure, and we'll get in tight on the head sculpt for Dennis. I'm not crazy about it. I think it's fine. I think it's, you know, it's definitely workable. Don't get me wrong. But there's something about it that's off to me. And that's to say that I think Fanstoys usually nails their head sculpts, and I think that this one seems slightly off, and it might be the schnoz. Like, this dude looks like Blossom. Like, that nose, I don't know. Just how far it protrudes out from the face. I'm just not sure if that's it or not. Something is wrong in the upper half of the face, though, and I don't think it's as obvious in the alternate heads. So I might end up using one of the alternate heads for this guy. That being said, it is painted in a glossy red, and the eyes are the metallic blue. The eyes look sharp as a tack. Fantastic. And I think that, like, from certain angles, it looks better than others. Like, I think looking up at it, it looks pretty good. It's, like, straight on. Actually, I like the down also. It's just the straight on looks a little weird. On my shelf, I think I will be looking up at it, so it should be all right. We have some sculpt work with the lines and stuff. That all looks nice. It's on a hinge swivel, and it's actually done fairly cleverly. You swivel, and then you hinge back, and this section of the helmet folds into the head. Now, there's a gift and a curse to this. So on one side, it's quite clever engineering-wise. On the other side, it looks really bad from the front. So I would say you probably only could get it up to there realistically. Nothing really down, no confused dog look. All right, moving on to the arms. We have the shoulder. That's beautiful metallic kind of gunmetal gray. Looks great. It's a universal. Get you out to 90 degrees. It's on this other section like that rotates. And it's a bit of a bummer because this joint is tight and this joint is loose. There's a couple loose joints in this figure that I'm just not used to, but once you get it to kind of stay, you can rotate it 360. So, you know, ultimately okay. Bicep swivel. This is one of my loose joints here at the elbow. Not the biggest deal in the world, but it is honest. And then we had a couple ridges there. That's okay. It's an interesting way that they did this bicep. Like, this outer shell is a U. It's all one piece of plastic, and then the filler piece is the separate piece of plastic, where usually companies would split the... Actually, it is... No, that's just the mold. It's like the mold release, but it's interesting. I wonder why. I wonder why they did it that way. Either way, it's fine. Wrist swivel. And the fingers are on a base pen knuckle, and you got typewriter fingers. We'll back out now a little bit. We have a waist swivel. There is this joint that you can get a reverse ab crunch, but you don't really get an ab crunch. And it looks like you should, but you don't, which I found interesting. The glossy red is throughout. I kind of wish it was a metallic red. I like Fanstoys metallic colors, like the gunmetal there looks fantastic, but they did not go that route. Then they went with the matte for the gray, and I do like the difference between the metallic gloss and matte. Like, I do think that makes it a visually interesting piece. All right, so then we have the hips. They are universals. We have hip skirts here. Get you out for the full Van Damme. We'll back out now. Look at the whole figure. And forward and back. Now, this is one of those frustrating... I don't like these types of joints. So the universal moves, but then the whole hip skirt moves as well. Sometimes it could just be a pain to deal with. But it works, right? It's still effective. It gets you forward and back to there. Thigh swivel, no issues there. Let me sort out this hip. Here we go. And you have the knee. Single hinge gets you more than 90 degrees, so that's fine. Even the elbows get you more than 90 degrees on a single hinge. I think that's okay as well. Nothing to talk about sculpt-wise on the legs, just squares, bro. Squares. And then we have the ankles. They're on ball peg. Get you an ankle tilt up, slight, ankle tilt down, slight, slight rocker. So very limited articulation in that regard. Yeah, it's okay. And then let's see what else. Oh, let's take a look from the back. So this should actually be up, and then that piece should come down and grab a hold of the windshield. But the backpack is definitely a thing, right? Like, it would be better if they could have got rid of this piece and this piece somehow, you know. But it's manageable, I suppose. It's not the biggest eyesore in the world, but obviously that would have looked better. I don't transform my stuff really after the review, so who knows? I might just snap my pieces right off in there. Who knows? But yeah, I think it's a decent figure. Not a knockout for them, but not a failure. The question is going to come down to the engineering to the transformation, I believe. So let's go ahead, do some size comparisons, and get into that. Size comparison wise, there he is with X-Transbots, Trailbreaker, and Make Toys Jazz. So he should fit right in. We'll do a more thorough look at his scale when we do the verses. But either way, mind's eye should work just fine. Because obviously one is going to be more accurate than the other, right? Because this is him next to the X-Transbots, and they're clearly not the same size. It's interesting, right? It shows you just how much better the proportions are with Fanstoys in general. Like, they really dial that in. But there they are. All right. Jesus, take the wheel. The first thing we got to do is this. Now, everybody and their mother has contacted me to let me know this is where I'm going to break it. So I am going to be cautious. And I'm trying to get this piece untabbed. And I definitely untabbed it from the wrong spot. So we're off to a great start, right? I'm gonna try to get it back on this ball peg. Luckily, this whole ball peg does double hinge up. So hopefully I can just plug it back in. All right, I'll try again on this side. Okay, I got better that time. And that will allow this backpack to open up. The ball peg is on 2 hinges, and it's fiddly. And that's a little bit of a tight joint, so I just use the spudger to get that up and out of the way. All right, now we're cooking. So the next thing that we have are these pieces here. And once again, we need to open this up here. This swivels down, but it's at an angle, obviously, right? So just stay cognizant and straighten that piece out. We'll do that again on this side. Remember the angle of the bloody dangle, if you know what I mean. And there we go. Okay, so then next is the ends. So we'll close up the fist. We're gonna open up, where is this, right here, right? That, and we're gonna rotate, and there's a double hinge here, and I'm just trying to free it up. See if I have any better luck on this side. There, untabbed. Okay, that one I had a little bit better luck. And we're gonna turn it to the inside because we're gonna take advantage of these pegs here on the side of this forearm flap. Jeez Louise, dude. There, God bless. All right, so once again, there. Now, we need to rotate and just stay, once again, cognizant. This joint that I talked about, how it's a little bit frustrating because you go to move the shoulder joint and this joint moves with it. That's the joint that we're gonna move. Luckily, that's the easier one to move. And then we'll rotate this back around, and that top gray tab fits into this little cavity there. So we'll do the same on this side. Rotate it all the way around. We'll use its stopping point to get leverage to rotate the shoulder joint because it's too tight. I lost my transformation here. Rotate it inward. And once again, we're just gonna sit it in that little slot there. Then we take this entire piece and fillet it open. This piece here and this piece here slide out. I got my dog. What's up, baby? Yeah. Oh, she's leaving there. All right. So there's one slid out. There's another one slid out, but this one isn't slid out all the way. There it went. All right, then we can collapse the head back, and that will allow us to take these pieces, hopefully they're staying in, and bring them around to this side. Right? Cool. Now we have this piece here, and it's hard. It's just fiddly. This piece, we're gonna rotate. It's on an armature. It moves at two places. We need to rotate it up and over so that it kind of forms up back here, right? And we're gonna do that on the other side, up and over. And we want these to be aligned. It's just fiddly, dude. Fiddly bits. And then this piece needs to come up and tab into the back there to kind of lock all that together. So the key to that, remember, it's on a double hinge, one hinge down, so that you have the little red circle there at the bottom, and then the other hinge rotates up. And, no, popped off the ball peg, so I didn't break it. Thank God. All right, so I'm gonna get that back on. I'll come up. We're gonna bring this other piece up the same way, plug it into the back, And this piece is going to be over under and plugged into the side there so that it sits like this. So I've got it pretty close. It's not perfect. Take these back windows, you can move them up into position on both sides, and move this piece. You can just sit over here for the time being. We're gonna rotate at the waist 180, and then we'll deal with the feet. All right, so we need to blow out these feet, so to speak. And very similar, I feel like, to the MP Bumblebee. Open this up. Open this up. Be careful there. Anything that opens, open it. Bring, actually, you can even get this bumper up. And you need to untab the wheel so that you have all of this sort of open. And then you've got to open up, oh my God, dude, the shin. And once you've done that, you want to basically combiner wars this down in, and it's just hard to show you guys. Bring this little gray piece down and then close back up the kind of the calf shin area over top of the thigh, and then orient. It's this hinge right here that you're trying to manipulate, but I mean, there it is, right? Like, it's just so bloody tight that it popped off the ball peg instead of moving at the appropriate hinge. Stupid. All right, so then you can bring this piece down and over, and once again, not the easiest connection. And then sit it into there, and then this bumper, I'll be honest with you, this bumper eats me up a bit, but you can bring that this flap up so that it sits tight, and we'll sort of just leave this out for now. All right, so the same on this side. We're gonna open up. We're gonna open up, and bring the bumper down. We're going to open up the shin. Dude. There, let's do it like that. You gotta laugh, man. You gotta laugh, or you'll drive yourself mad. In more ways than one. All right, and then we're gonna fold the lower leg, or the upper leg into the lower leg. We can rotate that gray piece down. There. And then you want to bring around, actually I'm just gonna see if I can't, like, it's everything is just in your way. Tab that in. Line this up. Be mindful of that piece. And there's another over-under. I don't know why they're doing this. It doesn't make for a user-friendly experience, but we'll rock this one down because this is the under. We'll connect it. And then we'll rock this one down on top of it. Hopefully, geez. So that we have sort of the two parts done here. Good night. I'm gonna clean this up before we move on, but that's basically it. This metal bar needs to rotate down, and once again, dude, tight. And once again, they're hooks here. They're not tabs for the windshield. So like, dude, I don't know who they think they are, man. But like, they don't have their transformations aren't intuitive enough to use the more complicated connection points. There. So that's in. And then we'll use this down. But these windows, I don't know. Let's just get them out of the way for a minute. Because the instructions say to have them up. But they need to tab in. Oh, look at that. The back came undone. I'll be right back. Back together. Let's fold in our hooks here. And then we have a tab here and a tab here that are going to peg in here and here. That still ain't right back there, but oh well. And then we just got to get all this lined up. So we're going to keep the doors open. There. Bring up our side windows. Tab them in. Same on this side. And then this is another one of like a hook system. So we want to get that there. And that's got a hook on the opposite side of the fender. And then close these doors. And then we'll just smush this thing until it fits right. Ish. Good grief. I'll clean it up. We'll take a look at it. So there it is. And it does look good. Rolls like a champ. Silver chromed out wheels. That looks good. Rubber tires. I love this red here for the front headlights and what have you. I can't get this seam closed all the way. Like, in spite of how hard I push, it always has a seam. And I even looked around a bit online in between the brake, and I see a lot of people have this little seam there. The translucent blue is totally different gradients, which I don't care for. And there's no detailings whatsoever on the back end for like brake lights or turn signals, etc. So I'm not crazy about that either. Other than that, it's fine, clean underneath. And there it is next to Tiger Tracks. So pretty accurate, I guess. It feels right anyway, you know what I mean? In terms of accurate to the cartoon model is what I mean. I don't know about real life cars. Who am I? Dale Earnhardt. By the skin of my teeth. Final thoughts-wise, we'll start with the negatives. Something is off to me about that face. Not distractingly off or awfully off, but off enough that I notice it. But the good news is they give you extra faces that I think are a little bit more passable. There is some build quality issues here. Some joints too tight, some joints too loose. The tightness we're kind of used to with Fanstoys, so we sort of expect that. The looseness is another matter entirely. And it does create sometimes less than favorable play conditions, specifically in the shoulder. There's also some limited articulation, once again, specifically in the ankles, but it also would have been nice nice to have an ab crunch now too. That's kind of a standard. And the same kind of goes for the fingers, but I do think the fingers are forgivable because of the size of the figure. But I don't think it's gonna come to anybody as any real surprise that the real issue with this guy is the engineering for the transformation. You know, there's fiddly pieces, there's really, really loose pieces, and between the fiddly pieces, the loose pieces, thin plastic pieces, some joints that are way too tight, juxtaposed against those that are way too loose, with a series of over-under hooking tabs. I feel like with Fanstoys, we are back to those super frustrating transformations that we had kind of gotten away from for a bit. I wish they would get back to where they were during like that Mirage era, but between this and the Jazz, I feel like we're back to square one in regard to this stuff. And then also, there's of course that seam in the front of the hood that I can't seem to get rid of in alt mode, and I don't appear to be the only one with that issue, so that's not the greatest either. Positives wise, he comes with the appropriate accessories, they all integrate well, it's fully painted, and though I do have some criticisms about the choices of paint, I can't deny, like I said, that they all look good together. Certain kind of typical Fanstoys articulation limitations, while engineered the same here, are more effective. For instance, the elbows and knees get you a wider range than just 90 degrees, which I'm not necessarily often used to, but they work nicely here. I love the way that they did the head articulation with the kind of back of the helmet folding into the top of the helmet. I love stuff like that, smart, clever stuff, and they nailed the proportions. I mean, better than anybody else has done. You know, better than Takara has done with their Bumblebee, better than X-Transbots or MMC have done with their Cliffjumpers. Something needs to be said for that. And then there's also, to be fair, the alt mode looks great, you know, once you get it there, with the exception of that little seam in the hood, but I think that's easily overlooked. It's just so frustrating, you know, and it really shouldn't be. You know, how important is it to spend, you know, almost, you know, whatever, like $100, a little bit more than $100, just to have something that's not fun? And I'm not talking about easy, because not every transformation needs to be easy. You can have complicated transformations that don't make you want to tear your hair out of the top of your head, or at least, I guess in my case, flesh out of the top of my head. But I do think that, like, just using different sort of technology to lock pieces together would do an awful lot for the user friendliness and enjoyability of this toy. I don't even know if that's a word, but you know what I mean. So anyway, I mean, I can recommend it if you don't want to transform it, but if you're a guy that likes to flip it back and forth, I would say that probably the other two options are better for that. It's just that Fanstoys nails the proportion, you know, but certainly not a fun time. So take that for what you will. Some really good things about it, some fair things about it, and some not so great things about it, but I guess that's life, isn't it? Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.